Hey, welcome back to Spirit Music Meetups. Mike Burris here. Spontaneous music, anointed, and prophetic. Lord giving us His might and power, not just our own skill. We're on the worship and music page. This is an awesome page. This is where we're really going. This is where the Lord told me that He was going to save America and the world through worship. You know, we got billions of, millions of Bibles and millions of preachers and millions of churches, and the world is worse than it's ever been. So I don't believe that was the light. And this dream was profound. The Lord showed me very clearly that He's bringing His presence through worship, entering into His presence, and His presence is what is going to save us. And this is not worship like we've seen in most churches. I've been in 15 worship ministries. And a lot of it is striving to please God. It's really Old Testament religion. It's borrowing from the ways of the world, trying to achieve a product, trying to please God, using our own might and power. That's Zechariah 4:6, and trying to use our skill to please and acquire God, to get into His presence. But it's a striving. It's not a resting. It's not a surrender. It's really going back to our own might and power. So worship is going to radically change as the latter rain occurs. We're in the beginnings of the latter rain. It's going to happen about 50 years tops. Lord showed a lot of people about this. The lunar calendar is very accurate, and it really tells you exactly when Jesus is going to return for the millennial age. So I don't want to get into all that, but worship is a profound proseuche. It's a falling down under the presence of God in utter worship, every single part of your body, mind, body, spirit. The Holy Spirit showed me how the Holy Spirit worships God the Father, and it's pure. Every part of her body was going at the same time. It was a queen. It was an African queen, and it was amazing to see. And we were all reporters looking at this, so go check that out. It was amazing to see every part of her body, vocally, every single limb was worshiping the Lord, her whole being. And Benny Hinn talks about how when the Holy Spirit, during Catherine Coleman, my friend was at Catherine Coleman's, it was just powerful, way off the scale. The presence of God is not like what's happening in most of the churches. We're trying to create that atmosphere ourselves instead of surrendering and seeking the face of God and waiting for that to come to us. We are trying to create it and trying to entertain the saints, trying to keep them coming back, put money in the coffers. It's religion. So, but it's well intentioned, but it's just still, religion. So we hear a lot of church talk about worship, but in many cases it takes a backseat to almost everything else. It's not a very high priority in a lot of churches. Prayer is certainly not in a very high priority in most churches. That word prayer, proseuche, is very closely related to proskuneo, kuneo, which is they're very related. So I don't know. If prayer is not very high priority, how could worship be? Prayer is how you get into the presence of God, watching, listening, and feeling the presence of God. So I don't know. How can you get in the presence of God, and how can you worship with your whole being? Is it all just might and power for God, or is it with God? See, the new covenant is all about relationship with God, and the old covenant is about works of righteousness for God. So I had this amazing dream about this, so you want to go check that out, The Preacher. And so I have a little prayer about this, but there's a couple powerful blogs here, Old Testament Hebrew words for worship, and Greek words used in the Old Testament and New Testament for worship, and you'll get a lot out of those two. And worship is on like almost every page of this blog, so this website. So I'm going to add more blogs, and maybe references to other blogs that talk about worship. So I can't wait to get And there's some references here, other worship music links. And new song, and I mean, there's just so much. The new song, spontaneous music, worship. So that's where we're going. That's what this whole website's about. Can't wait to hear from you. Can't wait to hear from you. And so add your comments in there on the bottom and teach one another so we can really learn about worship, okay? And then there's a share your blessings to help others button there. Hope you can help out with that too. And so we can really, it's going to save America. That's where we're going. This is the great revival, the greatest revival. 3 times more intense. That's the Lord told me, 3 times. I think it's 3 to 4 times. But I can see it's going to be 3 times. And don't ask me all the reasons being, but that's not important. Is that it's going to be very intense, and it's going to be worship. It's going to be what worship really is, not what we've turned it into. You know, the Jews had what they call worship, but the Lord kept saying through the prophets, this is not at all worship. This is not at all worship. You don't have a clue what worship is. You don't even have a clue what prayer is. God, Jesus said this is supposed to be a house of prayer, and you turned it into a marketplace. You don't even know what prayer is. So that's what religion does. It goes down the slippery slope, gets really far away from reality, and it's all about doing for God instead of being with God. Being with God and letting God do in us. We become His workmanship. So that's what's going to happen. We're going there. We're going to go there. And this website's all about getting there together. Okay? God bless you. Bye-bye.